If we can just have you folks start by introducing yourself. Some might be a little obvious, and then we'll get started. Jim.
Hi, I'm Lisa Zimbel. I moved to South Royalton in 2021 and met the amazing women at the White River Land Collaborative, and I'm a filmmaker and made this film to help them tell their story.
Hi, I'm Shelby Calm. I'm the project coordinator of the White River Land Collaborative.
Well, thank you all for being here, and congratulations on your films. They're wonderful. You know, I'm still kind of, as we all are in that world, so I'm trying to refocus here. And I'll just start, just to get us started and open it up to folks here. A question for all of you. What led you to this project, to make this film? I mean, Jim, in your case, you know, it's a little bit clear you're in the film, it's about your work to start with, but I'm just wondering if both of you could talk a little bit about how you decided to make a film.
As you know, as you saw, I'm a still photographer, fine art photographer. And as this project evolved and as it grew, I was fortunate enough to be the one that would firsthand hear the stories. These great, rich stories, the history of these old structures, you know, from the people who either owned them or were connected to them in some way. And as I would show my still photography, I might have a little placard on the wall at the gallery that tells a little bit about it, but it really was a frustration to me because I might be at an opening for one of my shows and people would ask me and I'd say, oh, if you could only hear it from Jack, who's in the audience, you know, raise your hand, Jack. I really wanted to share these stories firsthand. And I never set out to become a filmmaker, but I felt that this was the best vehicle to do it. So it was quite a learning curve for me. I'm a visual person, but to be able to tell a cohesive story and to figure out, as a still photographer, how to get from point A creatively to point B was a bit of a learning curve for me. But I just felt that was the only way to really share my mission. And my mission, as you see, is just sit up and notice what we're losing on the American landscape. And not all of it is being lost. You saw some of the success stories there. But it's so easy to drive by these structures in our travels and just ignore them. And as I alluded to in the film, you know, all these structures, they were once really someone's dream. They were once their lives, their livelihood. And as you go past, sure, you know, think about, you might have more of an appreciation for the rust on the roof or the old barn boards. But think about the people who used to live there or used to work there and made it their lives.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead, Lisa.
you did a beautiful job. My husband's here somewhere. We have the opposite story. We are filmmakers, and we knew nothing about farming. We moved here during the pandemic, and Shona, who you meet in the movie, who is a Middlebury alum, if there's anyone Middlebury here, she was using our field to graze her sheep and her pigs, and we just started talking with her. She introduced us to the rest of the White River Land Collaborative women. And I had just left Participant Media, which is a film company in Los Angeles, and they make movies around issues, you know, pressing social issues. And then they have campaigns that walk around alongside those issues. So I had just been working for 4 years on the America to Me documentary, all about race and equity in our schools, moved to Vermont, knew nothing about farming, and realized like there was just a whole lot I had not been thinking about. Making this film was really to help them tell their story. And such a group of talented, dedicated women who are passionate about coming up with a new way to farm. And I love in your film, thinking about the history and the history of the land. And one of the things that impressed me most about this collaborative is that, they're not only thinking about the history of the Howe family, who had been on that land since 1850, but they're also thinking about the Abenaki history, and bringing Emily Bowles, the young Abenaki forester, into the project, who really thinks about timelines very differently. And I did just want to say I was heartbroken because the end credits didn't play, and I'm not sure why. But the movie ends with the words, "for the community, by the community," and then it gives a URL to learn more. And I did just want to say that Shona and Emily and Fran are coming to a reception here this Sunday at noon at the Edgewater Gallery. So if you want to meet them, learn more, hear their story, which is really the real story, we'd love for you to join us. And we'll have flyers as you leave.
That's a great, just happy coincidence that it's at Edgewater where Jim's work is as well. I love that. I'd love to open this up to the audience. Any questions for either or both filmmakers? Yes, sir, right here.
Yes. Jim, what drew you to Montana?
Because it was pretty much the opposite landscape visually from New England. As much as I enjoy, I love the New England landscape and the character and the history, I really was curious if what I saw happening here in New England was happening across the country. So that was the first impetus. I wanted to select a landscape that was where the vernacular of the structures were very, very different. You won't see grain elevators like that here, these prairie schoolhouses and such. And I had seen beautiful photographs of Montana, and only, most of the Montana photographs I had seen were the mountains, the national parks, and the beauty, but it was the prairie that really drew me, and the history of that, and what had been, and what it looks like now. So that's what drew me. It's so very different than the East Coast here.
That's great. Thanks for that question. Yes. Here.
Yes, as some of you who know me know that we're barn lovers, and that goes back to when I was a little very student, and we went to the Whiting Quarry back in 1970, and on the side of the road there was a barn door, and they put it on the roof of my now husband's Volkswagen Bug, and I had it in my military dorm as a little divider. And then we went with us and became a sliding door in a 1898 house that we had in Massachusetts. So that's a little history. But going to the house farm, the barns, are you able to restore them? Is that project going forward?
Yeah, so we recently got a grant earlier this year from the Vermont Historic Preservation District we got a historic barn preservation grant to restore the big barn that was featured in the film, the 1914 barn, 3-story. So we're now in the process of finding contractors to do that work and kind of envisioning like what's going to happen. We're thinking maybe it could be used for food processing or Skillshare classes, maybe cold storage in the bottom level. But we really want this to be a process that involves community and community input and isn't just us kind of deciding what to do and then barreling ahead. So we're now trying to think about like how can we create a process to bring on collaborators that's equitable and not just us kind of connecting with people that we already know, but really trying to connect with voices and folks that maybe otherwise wouldn't be involved in these kinds of conversations and processes. Yeah, and and there's a smaller barn closer to between the farmhouse and the big barn that we have plans to turn into a farm store. To highlight Shona's products and other local products in the area.
And do you have pictures of those that you will have on Sundays, maybe at the reception?
We can. We have. It's where the woman from the Vermont Preservation Trust was being interviewed. So you see the light coming through the slats and the old milk cans. Yeah, we could totally make that part of it. It's beautiful.
I've actually photographed that property
you
a
have?
long time ago.
Yeah.
I spent some time on that.
There you go. That's great. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, in the back.
Yeah, I can think of a whole bunch of people I would really like to see each of these films. Can you tell us about access to your films on an ongoing basis?
Talk to me afterwards. I'm going to send you the link with the end credits. And we'll also be showing it at this reception. We'll show it at 12:15. We'll show it again at 1, and in between we'll have Shona there and Emily there and Fran there. So please tell people about that if you think they'd be interested. And the reason we made the movie was really to let the Land Collaborative push it out far and wide.
And the reason I originally made this film, I thought the end game where it would land might be local PBS. I think it's suited for that. But as the project grew, and I ended up working with a story editor out in LA, he said, I should be holding out, not monetarily, I never set out to monetize this, but I should be holding out because this will strike a chord with a larger audience, and I'm hoping it will. So, all that said, it's the film is kind of in the film festival submission phase right now, and being a newbie here, I don't know, excuse me, I don't know exactly how this all works, but I'm hoping that the right people might end up seeing it, excuse me, at one of these festivals, and say, hey, we'd love to have this on our streaming service or whatever. But regardless, in the future, it will be available perhaps on YouTube, but certainly, regionally, I'm hoping PBS.
I love that response because I happen to be local PBS, so we should talk. I produced a series called Made Here. Yeah, you know. So anyway,
When I saw you
we'll
over there, I
talk.
said, okay, we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll
We'd
talk.
like to be on PBS
All right,
too.
well, that's great. Do my work for me. Thank you for the question. Yes, right here.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for all your work. My name is Tim Snow. I have a 400-acre farm down in Shrewsbury, Vermont, from the 1860s. And I do lots of field trips, lectures about it. But I love the way that you captured the essence of what you were focused on.
Oh, thank you.
Very inspiring, but a great way to educate. My quick question to you, and maybe this is beyond this session, what would you advise someone who wants to do what you did, but on a smaller scale? So I do lots of lecturing, slideshows, presentations. The film has such a tremendous value to people, and I'm just wondering any recommendations on how to get started in doing a film about one's own pride and joy in terms of land and buildings and so forth.
That's a great question. I'll try to give you a short answer. With today's iPhone, smartphone technology, you have everything you need as far as filming. Don't think so much about, it's got to be the production quality and all this. If you have a story to tell, if you have a story that you're passionate to tell, take out your phone, start walking around the property, have somebody, if you're giving lectures or tours on the property, have somebody film you, and then social media is a great way to start getting it out there. So if you start posting it there, maybe you post a YouTube video. I I have no doubt though, if you have a passion, that will come through in however you end up showing it to people, and it'll gain some traction.
And I would just add to that, maybe you could find an editor, a student who, is looking for a project. I sort of taught myself how to edit and also used an editor, but that is a big, big part of the process. And, our film was also, other than the interviews, we used our iPhones, like Shona would call and say, oh, there's piglets being born. We zip over with our phones. So there's really a lot you can do.
We have time for just a couple more questions. Yes, and then Bill.
To kind of segue from the past to the present and on to the future, kind of moving through, is there a website where people can see kind of developments of the Land Collaborative, where you're going, what's happening?
Yeah, the website is whiteriverlandcollaborative.com.
Would have been in the end credits.
And we do also have postcards that I can pass out as folks are leaving that give more information, our Facebook account, Instagram, all of that.
And is it on here?
If you scan the QR code, you'll get all of that information.
Great, thank you.
Great. Well, I think that's actually a great way to leave it. We've got to get ready for the next screening. My thanks to our guests, our filmmakers here. Thank you so much, and all of you for coming. Thank you.